Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on once again? Welcome back to another episode of the Touchdowns and Track Limits podcast. I am your host, Skylar Dagley, ready to present to you episode 4 of the TNTL Track Limit, or what the hell am I talking about? Touchdown Track Limits podcast, TT, or TNTL podcast. There we go. Now I'm starting to figure this out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little sleepy. I'm recording this at 6:30 in the evening here on Wednesday night. Unfortunately, my co-host Ethan could not make the show today. I've got all of his picks ready to roll though, so that's good for us. We got a new F1 segment today, so that should be exciting. I'm actually just logging his picks now for F1 because I forgot to do that. So, I'm going to put that in for the Singapore GP. There we go. That's locked in. And, yeah, guys, where do we even start? Where do we even start with this one? Shall we start with NFL Week 4? I think that's a good spot to dive into. So, first games first. We've seen the Seattle Seahawks take on the Arizona Cardinals away at... oh my god, I need a spit or something, but this game was at State Farm Stadium, where Seattle traveled to Arizona. This game was a little interesting. I mean, it had some highs, it had some lows. It was a rough watch for the first couple quarters. I mean, a lot of running and a lot of punting. I can't remember who ended up getting the touchdowns from this game. It wasn't a great game for either quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr. did finally start getting touchdowns. He had a rough go of it at the start. So, nice to see my Ohio State wide receiver start balling out. It was nice to see him land on 2 feet again, start doing what he does best. So, yeah, good stuff. You love to see that. Seattle, they just did what they needed to do. They almost choked it away and let Arizona back into the game. It was a last-minute kick, which I believe won them the game. If I'm remembering correctly, me and Ethan were on call watching this game, actually, and yeah, no, the friggin' Seahawks, man, they did their thing. And unfortunately, when Arizona showed up, it was too late, unfortunately. So, the Seattle Seahawks got the job done to start off NFL Week number 4. In the Sunday slate, we started off with the NFL's first ever game in Dublin, Ireland. The first international game of the year was played on September 28th, as the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers would get their Guinness game on and have a ball at Crow Park, in Dublin. This game was an interesting game, man. I'm not gonna lie. I only got to see the final 2 minutes and the first quarter and a half of the game. Well, like 3/4 of the first half, I should say. Me and my mom had to go out and do some shopping, so I didn't get to see most of this game, but I found it really funny that Jalen Ramsey, when he picked that ball up for that touchdown that got called back, he did the fake hammy celebration to the gritty and then did the same hamstring in later on in the game. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And yeah, no, Aaron Rodgers balled out. I got to give him some credit, man. Looking at the stat sheet for this game, there we go, stats. Carson Wentz, even though he had 2 interceptions, he actually didn't have too bad of a game. 350 yards, 65% completion. Aaron Rodgers threw for 200, 1 touchdown. Yeah, not a bad game for Aaron Rodgers as well. Of course, I had Kenneth Gainwell chilling on my bench when he had 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is just phenomenal luck for yours truly. But hell, Aaron Rodgers even had 3 attempts on rushing, and Aaron Rodgers is not a quarterback you expect to see go out and rushing. But yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers are currently set at 3-1, top of the AFC North. That was definitely something I didn't expect to see at this point of the season, man. But I mean, this is what Pittsburgh does, though. They start season strong, and then they die off as time goes on. So, Pittsburgh Steeler football, man. I'm sure the 9-8 Super Bowl will reign supreme once again, but time will tell. time will tell for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next game up was the first game I have here of the 1 o'clock slate. I mean, it starts at 2 o'clock in my time zone, which absolutely sucks. I hate Atlantic time. I wish we were just on Eastern here in Nova Scotia. Soon I'll be in New Brunswick, which is still on Atlantic time, for Christ's sake. But anyway, the Atlanta Falcons beat the Washington Commanders 34-27. A lot better of a performance from the Atlanta Falcons after that rough game in Carolina last week. I mean, I can't remember who got the touchdowns here, but how many did Michael Penix throw for? This is actually, believe it or not, this is the first game Michael Penix has ever won where the team has scored more than 7 points in the NFL, which is crazy to think about. Penix had a good game, 313 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 126 quarterback rating, not too bad for that. Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier had rushing touchdowns, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts had receiving touchdowns, so not too bad of a stat line for them. Marcus Mariota didn't play too bad either, 2 touchdowns and an interception. I think he could have done a little bit more in the offensive side of the half, but, you know, I'm not here to nitpick. Rodriguez had a lot of rushing yards. Croxy Merritt had some good runs as well, 7 attempts each. Let's see who else here. Deebo Samuel had a great game, 72 yards, a hell of a touchdown grab in the end zone. Luke McCaffrey, man. If you guys want to pick up a gem off the waiver wire, this guy could end up being an absolute baller. He could be a great, bench wide receiver if you need to bring someone in off the bye. Someone definitely to think about over the coming weeks, I will say that. But good game by both teams. It was good to see Atlanta bounce back and get back in the win column after a disappointing performance in Carolina last weekend. But the Buffalo Bills continue their winning form. It did look a little sketchy at points for them against the New Orleans Saints, but all in all, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills did their thing. We'll take a look at the stat lines here for the Bills against the Saints. I will give Spencer Rattler some credit. He did play a decent game. Took 3 sacks, which is unfortunate, but the only interception from this game actually came from Chris Olave in one of the dumbest trick plays I ever seen. My mom popped into my room as I was watching Red Zone, and I literally screamed. I was like, "You're the worst team in the league. Why are you running trick plays?" Like, that is the stupidest thing in the world. Josh Allen had a 22 pass attempt game, completed 16, 209 yards, 72% completion, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Josh Allen also took 3 sacks as well, which is a pretty big thing to notice. But James Cook had 117 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. Josh Allen also had a rushing touchdown. Khalil Shakir had a touchdown and a half, man, staying on 2 feet and going all the way to the end zone on that touchdown he had was absolutely phenomenal. Dalton Kincaid got a touchdown for the Bills as well. So, yeah, good lines there for the Bills. And, yeah, Olave had his first touchdown of the season. DeAndre Miller had himself a rushing touchdown for the Saints. So, not all doom and gloom if you're a New Orleans fan. You went toe-to-toe with the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park. If you're a New Orleans Saints fan, that's nothing to be disappointed about. I genuinely think the New Orleans Saints have the best chance in the entire league at going 0-17 this year. So, if you're them, you really can't complain too much. My Cleveland Browns, unfortunately, got blown out by the Detroit Lions. Flacco had a couple bad punt throws, but we'll talk about the quarterback situation in Cleveland very shortly. I'm sure you guys are interested to hear my take on Dylan Gabriel, but we will talk about that very shortly. I expected this to happen. This was just the reality of the situation, man. Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions are a tough team to beat. That's just the reality of the situation. I figured our defense could give us some problems, but it ended up being a fairly similar game to the game we played against the Baltimore Ravens a couple weeks ago. So, Jared Goff with 168 through the air, 2 TDs and an interception. Jahmyr Gibbs had a rushing touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 receiving touchdowns. I don't believe, there were no other receiving touchdowns for the Detroit Lions. As for my Browns, Quinshon Judkins, man, this boy is turning out to be a fantasy gem and a half. If you have Judkins on your fantasy team, like your competition may genuinely be worried because this man has been balling out at running back since he's been coming in for the Cleveland Browns. I will say, if you have Judkins on your fantasy lineup, I have Judkins in 1 out of 3 of my leagues. So look out for Q, man. Q is balling hard. Q is balling hard. We'll talk more about the Browns game next week, and we'll preview next week's games as well. But I don't mind the decision of bringing Dylan Gabriel in for Joe Flacco. I wasn't a huge Dylan Gabriel fan in college. I didn't think he was amazing at Oregon, but hey, if you're trusting someone new to come do the job, why not? And I mean, if he does bad, give Shadur a shot. Why not? Like, that's pretty much how I see it at this point. Just, why not? Give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Tennessee, they took on the Houston Texans away at NRG Stadium in Houston. The battle of 0-3 at the time, and the Tennessee Titans were shut out by the Houston Texans. Houston running back, what's Buddy's name? I kind of wish it was Nick Chubb for one of my fantasy leagues, but Will Marks absolutely had a breakout game and a half with 69 yards and 17 attempts on the ground with 1 rushing touchdown. He even had a receiving touchdown as well with 50 yards through the air. Absolute breakout game if you're Marks. Nick Chubb had 47 on the ground. Not a bad game for those guys. No interceptions for CJ Stroud. That's what you needed to see from him, especially against this Houston defense. That O-line is absolutely terrible. There is one play, if you guys go back and look, where Stroud got sacked literally in under a second. That just can't be happening. That's just unacceptable in the National Football League. So, if you're Houston, when the next year's draft comes around in free agency, you got to upgrade that O-line. Last year, it was the penalties at O-line that really hurt them, and now the O-line just doesn't know how to block at all. And I mean, if this Tennessee D-line's coming at you that fast, you've got to ask some serious questions. That's what I make of this game. Cam Ward, man, I feel bad for Cam Ward, man. You can tell how talented this quarterback is, and he doesn't have any help. 26 attempts, 38.5 completion percentage. Tony Pollard and Ameo. I drafted this guy on friggin' fantasy in one of my leagues. Ayo Menor, I think that's how you say his name. Elijah Menor, I don't know. But yeah, that's the only real help he seems to have. Calvin Ridley's over the hill. Okawankwo's decent. Like, Tyler Lockett didn't get a single reception in this game. I don't know, man. That Houston defense is pretty good, but like Cam Ward said in the post-game press conferences, if we keep it a buck right now, we ass. So I feel bad for Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, but it's just the reality of their situation. Speaking of teams who rebounded and got back to form, the New England Patriots defeated the Carolina Panthers 42-13. Big rebound game if you are the New England Patriots. I said going into this week that this would tell a lot about the future of the New England Patriots, depending on how they do in this game. Oh my God, Josh Dobbs is on the Patriots. I am literally just learning that now. That's absolutely hilarious. But Drake May completed 14 out of 17, 203 yards, 82% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack, a 155.6 quarterback rating. That is a great stat line. Like, good job, Drake May. You did a great job on Sunday afternoon. You deserve a lot of credit, I will say. Ramondre Stevenson had a good game on the ground. I still don't understand why Travion Henderson isn't getting most of the reps, but it is what it is. Touchdowns for Henderson, Gibson, and even a rushing touchdown for May. Gibson had a punt return too, didn't he? Or that might have been someone else. Stephon Diggs had 101 yards through the air. I mean, I get this Carolina secondary isn't great, but like, come on, guys. Stephon Diggs, really? He ain't what he used to be, boys. He ain't what he used to be. I mean, I probably ain't going to be what I used to be either, coming off an ACL tear myself, but I don't know. Who am I to judge, I guess? Hunter Henry with a touchdown as well. So, yeah, good all-around game with you, the New England Patriots. Definitely a rough break for the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young didn't throw any interceptions. That's a good sign. I mean, I think if anything, they had a lead at one point in this game too early on, but if you ask me, I think this game really comes down to defense and special teams. I think the offense held their own. They did their part, but if the defense can't do theirs, then yeah, it's not really too fair. Tedoroy McMillan had 4 receptions and 62 yards. Tremble with 5 for 42. Tremaine with 3 for 36. Not bad if you ask me, man. Not bad if you ask me. But yeah, they brought Andy Dalton into the game. Andy Dalton didn't chuck any picks, but he threw a touchdown as well in garbage time. It's unfortunate. I'd be interested to see if the Carolina Panthers give Andy Dalton another run at a quarterback. I figure they'll give Bryce Young a couple more weeks, and if the results just don't improve, then I could genuinely see Andy Dalton being the Carolina starting quarterback for a little bit. Now, upset alert. I told you guys I had a funny feeling about this game. I had a funny feeling something stupid was going to happen. Unfortunately, for the New York Giants, it came at a sacrifice with their win. But Jackson Dart, the new starting quarterback of the New York Giants, took them to a win on day one. Great performance if you are the New York Giants, man. Jackson Dart looked great. 20 yards through the 13 completions on 20 attempts, 111 yards. What I think was really good for Jackson Dart was his rushing game. Like, the dynamic play that he adds to that New York offense is very helpful. They had Russell Wilson come in for one snap. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, well, like a couple snaps, I should say. He did get sacked. Jackson Dart is questionable heading into that New Orleans game. I'm assuming he will play, but only time will tell. Cam Scatterbo with another great game along the ground. Jackson Dart with a rushing touchdown. Devin Singletary got some snaps. Receiving, Darius Slayton did do well. Tyler Johnson, or Ty Johnson, however you say it, he got a touchdown. But unfortunately, the star wide receiver for the New York Giants, Malik Neighbors, did go down with an ACL tear. A horrible injury, man. And that MetLife turf continues to not play fair. Prayers up for Malik, man. I know how those ACL tears are, man. I wish him all the best. I really hope he has a speedy recovery because those are never fun. And yeah, hopefully, I don't know if he's already had surgery or not, but hopefully he can. I mean, I'm sure he's got plenty of money to help pay for it. So all the best for Malik Neighbors, and yeah, I hope he has a good and speedy recovery, man. I hope his ACL tear is similar to mine, where it my meniscus ended up healing itself. So that saved me a lot of time on crutches and stuff. It was more so just the ligament that they had to replace. I wonder what graft they're going to give Malik. Now we're going to have to call this Touchdowns, Track Limits, and Injuries podcast. But I don't know, man. I feel bad for Malik Neighbors, and I hope he's healthy very soon. Justin Herbert with 23 for 41. Oh my God, that's a brutal percentage. 1 TD, 2 interceptions. The real shining light for the Los Angeles Chargers in this game was Omari Hampton with 12 attempts and 128 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Yeah, big game for Omari and Hampton. Quentin Johnson had a touchdown. Guys, can we talk about Ladd McConkey? Like, in one of my main fantasy leagues, he is my wide receiver. Honestly, you could argue wide receiver 1 because my 2 receivers are Jerry Jeudy and Ladd McConkey. And they're both underperforming to start the year. I mean, I can get Jerry Jeudy to an extent, but like, how does Ladd McConkey only have 1 reception? This is Ladd McConkey we're talking about. One of the standout performers of last season is underperforming. And it's brutal to watch. It really, really is brutal to watch. I feel bad for Ladd McConkey, man. I hope he starts getting it going soon. I hope he starts getting more targets. I mean, Quentin Johnson had 8 receptions. Ladd McConkey only had 1. That's just sad. Keenan Allen had 5 receptions for 37 yards. Not too wrong with that. Yeah, let's move on to the next game. Obviously, prayers up for Malik Neighbors. Hopefully, he recovers fast and quickly. Here's an interesting game. The Philadelphia Eagles are one of 2 teams to continue to be undefeated, along with the Buffalo Bills. Guys, I will say, really, really, really interesting game to watch as the season develops. The 2 undefeated teams play each other on week 17 currently. So the two undefeated teams that still are undefeated are the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. If they both continue their undefeated run, they will play each other on the second to final game of the season to see if they can still keep their undefeated records alive. That is going to be so compelling. So just, there's a story to keep your eyes on there, if you ask me. But anyway, let's talk about this game. The Eagles started this game out strong. They got out to a hot and early lead. Jalen Hurts was great along the round. They faked the tush push for Saquon Barkley to get into the end zone. Right, 19 attempts on the ground for 43 yards for Barkley. A.J. Dillon had a big run there at one point. Dallas Goedert had 4 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, what? I'm so confused. Right, so listen to this, guys. In one of my, I hate to keep talking about fantasy, but in one of my fantasy leagues, my Mark Andrews is my tight end 1, and Dallas Goedert is my tight end 2. Every time I play Andrews, he has a bad week, and Goddard has a great week. So, like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I think Philadelphia are on the bye this week. Wait, no, they couldn't be, because I have Jalen Hurts starting this week. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Should I be starting Barkley or Andrews this week? I think Goddard is against Denver and Baltimore is against Houston. I mean, that all depends on the health of Lamar Jackson as well. We'll get into that shortly when we talk about the Ravens-Chiefs game. But yeah, big win for the Eagles. They did cut it close. Chase McLaughlin did hit a 66-yard field goal right before halftime to bring Tampa Bay back into it. Baker Mayfield had himself a game, 22 for 40, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Without that interception, maybe Tampa Bay wins this game, but I mean, they're coming up against a great team like the Eagles, man. So that it's a tough team. They're a tough team to beat, man. That's just the truth. The Eagles are a tough team to beat. I'm hearing rumors that Bucky Irving is in a walking boot at the moment. So I really hope for Tampa Bay's sake that he is okay. He is a phenomenal back to have for the Tampa Bay Bucks, so I really hope he's okay. He did have a fumble in the last game, but that's not to take away from his talent. Emeka Egbuka, man. I knew this guy was going to be good in the National Football League, and especially when I found out he was going to Tampa, I was like, okay, you got a stud. You got a stud. That's an amazing receiving core that they've got in Tampa Bay between Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and Sterling Shepard. When they're all healthy, like, that is a great receiving lineup. Not to mention Cade Otton, a tight end, is a really underrated tight end, if you ask me. Baker Mayfield has plenty of targets in Tampa Bay. I'll put it that way, man. Emeka Egbuka, like, what a freaking game he had. That 72-yard touchdown was unbelievable. Like, watch out for these Bucks, man. They are an underrated team for the NFC this year. They're definitely one to watch. I will say that. Tampa Bay is definitely one to watch. They're 3-1 now, so their undefeated record's gone, but, like, watch out for the Bucks, man. They're definitely a team to keep your eyes on. Getting into the late window now, you had the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Now, obviously, the Colts were on a superhuman-like run. Daniel Jones was balling out of his mind. Like, great. Daniel Jones was having great game after great game. But this was their this was their first legit test, in my opinion. Denver's very hot and cold at the moment. You could make the argument that Denver was their first legit test, but the Rams are legit. We know that about the Los Angeles Rams. They are a legit football team. So I was very intrigued to see how the Colts would do in a game like this. Daniel Jones went 24 for 33, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He should have had 2 interceptions if Adonai Mitchell didn't fumble the ball at the 1-yard line and lose the ball through the back of the end zone when Mitchell did all the hard work. He went to celebrate early, dropped the ball, and the ball went through the back of the end zone, and it was a turnover. Like, Adonai Mitchell, man, like, what are you doing? That definitely costs. If he had that touchdown and the extra point, that would have had that game at 27-27. Like, that is a brutal beat if you are the Buffalo Bills, the Indianapolis Colts. But He did have the most receiving yards for that game. Tyler Warren out of a decent game, 5 for 70. Michael Pittman had 5 for 41. Josh Downs, I believe that's his first name's Josh. I couldn't tell you. It was 4 for 24. Jonathan Taylor had 76 yards along the ground. So, yeah, man, not much you can say about that. It was just how the game went for the Colts. They were kind of playing catch up the whole time. They had their first legit test. Matthew Stafford had a phenomenal game, 29 for 41 for 375, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 123.5. Kyron Williams was 13 for 77 along the ground. He did have a fumble, which kind of sucks for Kyron. I'm a big Kyron Williams guy. But, yeah, no TDs. That's unfortunate. Puka Nacua. Was that Puka's first touchdown of the season? I could have swore I heard it was Puka's first touchdown of the season. The one he got against the Colts. But 170 for a touchdown, man. Like, that is crazy. Tutu Atwell had 1 reception for 88 yards. Oh, my God. Devontae Adams, 4 receptions, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, great game for the Los Angeles Rams, man. What more can you say about that? The Rams balled out. They did what they needed to do. Got points on pretty well every drive. Nothing wrong with that if you're the Los Angeles Rams, man. You beat one of the hottest teams in the league currently. Broke their undefeated streak. Like, I'd be pretty happy if I were the Los Angeles Rams coming out of this game. Not a lot to hang your head about. You went toe-to-toe with one of the best offenses in the league currently, and you won. So, good on them. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they went to San Francisco to play the 49ers, and they took home a 26-21 win against Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. We'll talk more about Brock when we preview next week, but Trevor Lawrence had himself a great game. The Jaguars did actually look legit. They put up 17 points in the second quarter, man. The Jaguars did look a lot better. Travis Etienne held it down on the ground. 124 on 19 attempts, 1 touchdown. Great game for Travis Etienne. Brian Thomas Jr. looked a lot better. He had a rough start to start the year. Travis Hunter did have some great plays. The second round, or the second overall pick, definitely playing better than what he has in the past. Big improvements from Jacksonville, man. Big improvements from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brock Purdy, 22 for 38, 309 yards. The 2 interceptions was definitely what hurt Brock Purdy a bit. Obviously, he was a bit rusty in this game. You could tell that he missed the last 2 weeks in this performance, but Christian McCaffrey, he held it down on the ground apart from his fumble. Yeah, there's the poor 49ers, man. I feel bad for them. I really do. Because, like, they just keep getting injuries. I mean, you guys know my NFC team is the 49ers. If I wasn't a Browns fan, I'd be a fan of the 49ers. But where do you even go, really? If your whole team just gets injured, I am amazed McCaffrey hasn't picked up an injury yet, considering his record. Like, what do you even do? What do you even do? Ricky Pearsall's probably the best person on the 49ers at the moment. 4 receptions for 46 yards. McCaffrey had 96 receiving yards as well. Like, McCaffrey and Pearsall are like the 2 shining lights on this Niners offense right now. And yeah, hopefully they get some people back from injury soon, or they pretty much tank for a draft pick at this point. They're 3-1, and I'm talking about them tanking, which is honestly sad, but I just don't see them getting a good playoff spot considering all the injuries they're going to end up with. And I don't know, man. I feel like this loss is more on San Francisco underperforming than Jacksonville outplaying the 49ers. That's just kind of how I see it, but moving on. Chiefs, Ravens. All right. I was really hoping Kansas City would lose this game, and I'm a Browns fan. I am a Cleveland Browns fan hoping that the Baltimore Ravens would win. What does that say? What does that say? Patrick Mahomes was 25 for 37. The Chiefs looked a hell of a lot better. This is by far the best game the Chiefs played all season. The Ravens did underperform, no shadow of a doubt, but having Xavier Worthy back on the field for the Chiefs was definitely a huge help. He even had 38 rushing yards, for Christ's sake. Pacheco had 35 yards along the ground. Kareem Hunt had 34. Xavier Worthy, he had 83 yards receiving. Kelsey was 5 for 48. Hollywood Brown was 38 for 3. Juju was 36 for, or 4 for 36. What more can you say, man? Even their home run threat, Tyquan Thornton, was 1 for 11. Like, the Chiefs looked a lot better. The Chiefs did a lot better. This Ravens defense didn't do a lot to mess them up, but all in all, I think you got to be happy if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You put up, what, 37 points against the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, I know they just gave up 38 to Detroit not too long ago, but that pretty much means you're in that ballpark. You're in a similar range if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a big win for you. That is a big result. Unfortunately for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson went down with a hamstring injury, I believe it was. They're talking about him missing 3 to 2 weeks, which likely means Cooper Rush will be the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens for the coming weeks. So only time will tell where that'll go. But, oh man, Lamar Jackson, 1 TD for 1 interception, 3 sacks. Obviously, picked up the injury. The Ravens currently sit at 1-3. This might honestly be the year, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, to just kind of let things slide and just kind of accept defeat. I don't know what the upcoming schedule is like for the Baltimore Ravens. I actually want to have a look at that. If Lamar Jackson is out for 3 weeks, which games will they miss? I know they play Houston this weekend. So if Lamar Jackson is out for 3 weeks, he will miss the Texans, Rams, and the bye week and come back on October 26th when the Ravens play the Chicago Bears. So, interesting. That is interesting. I mean, he would miss 2 games, so I just don't know what to say, man. You come back for some easier games that the Ravens would probably win with Cooper Rush at quarterback. So, I don't know. Who do they play after that friggin' Bears game? So, they have the Bears, the Dolphins, Vikings, Cleveland, the Jets, Bengals, Steelers. Yeah, so a lot of their harder games are later in the year. They end their second to last game is against the Green Bay Packers, man, away at Lambeau. That's never an easy game. So, definitely something to keep your eye on if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. Getting into the final late game slate before we talk about Sunday night prime time. I'm sure you guys are excited to talk about this one. The Chicago Bears beat the Las Vegas Raiders 25-24. Holy God, if you're the Vegas Raiders, you gotta, at this point, tank for a quarterback. Please. Geno Smith isn't that guy. He can't do it. Yes, he's got an arm. Yes, he can chuck the rock. But please, get a new quarterback. Please. He doesn't take care of the football. He just doesn't. I like Geno a lot, but he's not going to take care of the football. My man had 21 passing attempts. 3 of them were intercepted. He only had 117 yards through this game. Like, please, Vegas. Like, go get Arch. Like, what are the Raiders now? They're 1-3. Like, go get Arch Manning at this point. For your own sake. Like, get a quarterback who's going to go take care of the football. And what's crappy for Vegas is this isn't a really great quarterback class. Like, who are you going to get out of this? Like, Drew Aller? Friggin', if you don't get Arch, friggin', I don't think Julian Sayan's going to the draft in a couple weeks, like, for next year or so. Like, I don't know who the Raiders could end up with. Like, this isn't a good situation if you're a Las Vegas Raiders fan, in my opinion. Like, maybe you end up, I don't know, you take Gunnar Stockton late in the round. I don't know where you go if you're the Raiders, but you need a new quarterback. You have a decent team, but you're not going to go anywhere with a quarterback who's chucking more interceptions and touchdowns every game. That's just how it is. Caleb Williams wasn't much better. I mean, 22 for 37, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Wasn't great, but it did enough for the win. What are the Bears now? The Bears are 2-2. That's crazy to think about. The Bears are 500. That's kind of crazy. DeAndre Swift had 38 yards and a touchdown on the ground, followed by Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze's been a great shining light for the Chicago Bears. Love having him in my dynasty league. 40 or 4 yards for 4 receptions for 69 yards and a touchdown. Not bad for him. Cole Kmet did well on the ground. Zacchaeus had 41 yards. DJ Moore did friggin' oh my god, what's his name? Who's the tight end from the university with an M that I don't like to talk about? Oh my god. Oh, Loveland. Did he not play? Is Colston Loveland injured? Colston Loveland. I want to... Oh. Colston Loveland. I want to see. Is he injured? Breakout after the bye. He took part in practice Tuesday. I guess they just sat him for this game. I don't know. But, yeah. I would love to see Colston Loveland get involved more for the Bears. He's a good wide receiver for them. And who else do we have to talk about? We do have a Sunday Night Football game to talk about. A tie, our first tie of the season, a 40-40 game between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. Almost said Chicago Bears. But, oh my god, man, what a game of football. Back and forth. I didn't end up getting any sleep till like 1 a.m. Yeah, just because of how back and forth this game was. It was a phenomenal game to watch. Even besides, if you're not a fan of either of these teams, you love this game. This game was awesome, man. Green Bay took control of the game early with an... why did I have to be against Romeo Doubs this game, man? Why? What? How many touchdowns? 3 touchdowns of Romeo Doubs. Like, just go away. Like, go away. Why? Josh Jacobs had more yards through the air with 71. Matthew Golden. Jacobs did have a good game. 86 on the ground, 71 through the air. Jordan Love was 31 for 43, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jordan Love had a great game. You know who else had a great game was Dak Prescott. 319 yards, 31 for 40 through the air. Jamal Williams continues to prove he's a great running back for the Cowboys. He's almost the new Ezekiel Elliott down there, like before all the injuries. Miles Sanders is a decent backup back to have. Pickens, man, I like George Pickens so much more now that he's in Dallas. God, I hated seeing him in Pittsburgh. 134 for 2 touchdowns. Great game for George Pickens. Some of the catches he had were absolutely ridiculous. I just don't know how George Pickens can make some of the catches he does. Tolbert had a great game, 4 receptions for 61. Ferguson was 7 for 40 and a touchdown. Turpin, 3 for 30. Great game for both teams, man. It felt horrible watching a game of the year contender end up in a tie, but still, great game of football besides that. Phenomenal game of football. If you are a football fan, you gotta love a game like that. And I mean, for both teams, you gotta feel pretty good about your offense. I mean, the Cowboys struggled on defense, especially against the pass early on in the game, but they improved as the game went on. So, not a bad game all in all. Miami, the Jets. We move on to Monday Night Football. And, oh my God. Miami. You won, but at the same price as the New York Giants, you lost your best wide receiver and genuinely might be the end of Tyreek Hill's career. Like, that's honestly sad. That is so sad to think about. That Tyreek Hill his career may genuinely be over. That's one of the worst injuries I've ever seen, man. Friggin' knee dislocation, maybe broken bones in his leg, ligament tears in his knee along with that knee dislocation. Like, that is horrible. Like, that's what they feared I might have had when I went down with my ACL tear. Luckily, I just damaged everything on my knee without smashing it to bits. But, oh man, that's a horrible injury. Like, just horrible. Just horrible, man. I pray for Tyreek Hill. I really hope he comes back strong and has a good return to playing football. But he had a great game up until that point. 6 receptions for 67 yards. Like, that is just a horrible beat. Horrible beat if you're the Miami Dolphins, man. But on the bright side, I mean, Jalen Waddle was 3 for 48. Darren Waller was 3 for 27 and 2 touchdowns. Darren Waller had a touchdown over the highest paid quarterback or cornerback in the National Football League. And he was a rapper for the last 2 years. Like, that's just mental to think about. That is just mental. Devon Achane, he had 99 yards on the ground and 1 touchdown. Tua didn't have too bad of a game. No picks for Tua turned the ball over. Tua turned the ball over, stayed in his Miami condo, but not a bad game. Not a bad game for the Miami Dolphins, but if you were the New York Jets, man, you're your own worst enemy. You're your own worst enemy. You have more points this entire season than the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 3-1, and you are 0-4. And it's not even like the Jets are playing bad. Like, even when they had Tyrod Taylor in the game, they were doing decent. Justin Fields, like, he did good. Justin Fields had a great game. That one run on 4th down where he ran like 40 yards into the end zone, like, that was something to witness. Like, that was a phenomenal game. I don't think they're using Breece Hall good enough. I really don't. Their O-line continues to take useless penalties. Like, it's just not a good look if you're the New York Jets, man. You have really good players. You have a really good team. And you're letting yourself down. You're letting yourself down. If I was Aaron Glenn, I would almost fire that whole O-line Tuesday morning and bring in a whole friggin' line. It was that bad for the Jets and the amount of penalties they took. It was not a good look. They had 4 fumbles as a team. Like, that's just not acceptable. Not acceptable for the Jets. Like, the Jets have they have a really decent opportunity to potentially go second in that division. And the only one who's stopping them is themselves. It's just sad. I don't know what football god or what the Jets did to have a curse put upon them from the football gods, but it is honestly sad to witness. I honestly feel bad for the New York Jets. But breaking into our final breakdown game of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals face the Denver Broncos on week 4, the final game of the National Football League week 4 slate. And the Broncos just put belt to ass, man. Jake Browning did not look like he had a look in from the very start of the game. It was, 14 for 25, 125 yards for Jake Browning. No touchdowns or interceptions, just a rough game if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. You did get a pick. I mean, you picked off Bo Nix. Bo Nix still put up 326 yards on you, man. J.K. Dobbins had 101 yards on the ground. R.J. Harvey, he looks to be a great back for the Broncos. Mims had a rushing touchdown. Bo Nix had a rushing touchdown. Cortland Sutton had 81 yards in the air. Bo Nix's Oregon buddies, Mims and Franklin, held it down through the air. Harvey had a receiving touchdown. Like, you let Evan Engram have 29 receiving yards. Like, I don't know what to say, man. If you're the friggin' Cincinnati Bengals, you lost Joe Burrow for the year. I don't know who you have in the coming weeks. Let's have a look at that, actually. If you're the Bengals, like, where does any hope come from? You have the Lions coming to Cincinnati next week. Well, this weekend, I should say. Then you go to Green Bay. You go to Lambeau. Then you have a Thursday night game against Pittsburgh. Then you have the Jets. You might actually win that game if the Jets don't get their crap together. Same with that Bears game. You never know. Then you have the bye. Pittsburgh, Patriots, Ravens, Bills, Ravens. Oh my God. Dolphins, Cardinals, and the Browns to end the season. I don't know, man. I'd be surprised if if Joe Burrow doesn't come back, I'd be surprised if the Bengals get more than 6 wins. I would honestly be shocked. But time will tell about that. Let's get into our predictions. Me and Ethan did send me his predictions. before I started recording the show here today. So thankful that he was able to do that. Ethan does have the Rams beating the 49ers. Can't say I am entirely shocked by that. But he has the Vikings beating the Browns. I don't know, man. Now that Dylan Gabriel's in, I don't know. I don't know. I think that could be a decent game. I think Dylan Gabriel can out quarterback Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz still has friggin' Justin Jefferson, so you never know. You never know. That could honestly, that London game could be very interesting. Make sure you guys wake up early and have your coffee and watch that game from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That definitely could be an interesting contest to watch. The Houston Texans are playing the Baltimore Ravens. Ethan does have the... Oh my god. Actually, I should go through how he has it here. He has the Giants winning. Where's the Giants at? They beating the New Orleans Saints. Very valid, especially if Jackson Dart's playing. The Cowboys, he has them beating the Jets. Very valid. I like that take. He has Houston over the Ravens. I don't know how I feel about that one. I just think Houston's been too disappointing to pick them against a team like Baltimore. He has Carolina beating the Dolphins. I don't know about that, man. I really don't. That's the battle of disappointing Alabama quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's just how I see it. Carolina, I already talked about that. He has the Colts beating the Raiders, which makes sense to me. Who else do we have here? He has the Eagles beating Denver. Can see that. I think that game will be close, but I do think the Eagles will win that. The Cardinals beating the Titans makes sense to me. As much as I hate it for Cam Ward, the Titans could genuinely go 0-17. He just doesn't have any help. He doesn't have what he needs in Tennessee currently to be great. It's similar to when Bryce Young got to Carolina originally, but it's just I think Cam Ward's a lot better than Bryce Young. Let's see, Seattle over Tampa. I don't know about that one. But that could be a very interesting game, though. That could be a very interesting game for both teams to see how they do the rest of the year. I am very intrigued to see how that game goes. Detroit over Cincinnati. Very valid take. I like that one. He has the Chargers over Washington. I like that take as well. I don't even think that matters between if Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota is the quarterback for that game. I think the Chargers win that football game. I just do. He has the Patriots beating the Bills. That one shocks me, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. The Patriots over the Bills, I don't know how to feel about that one. I just don't see it, especially at Orchard Park. And the Jags beating the Chiefs. Honestly, I think that Monday night game could honestly end up interesting. It looks like a snoozer on paper, but you never know. You never know. As for my predictions, I have the Rams beating the 49ers on Thursday Night Football. Mac Jones is the quarterback for the 49ers for that game. I don't know if it's official that Mac's starting, but I know Brock Purdy is out with a toe injury, so he will not play against the Rams. I do have the Browns beating the Vikings. I think Dylan Gabriel will have some first game quarterback magic, and we actually may somehow win that game. Don't ask me how, but I think we have a fighting chance. I have Baltimore beating Houston, whether it's Cooper Rush or Lamar Jackson. I think that Houston defense has been too disappointing. I'd take the Baltimore Ravens in that game. I have Miami beating Carolina. Carolina's just too hot and cold, man. They're a very hard team to predict. They are a very tough team to predict, man. I don't know what Bryce Young's going to give us. Teteroy McMillan could have a great game, to be fair. If this game ends up 20-19, I would not be surprised in the slightest. But I have the Colts beating the Raiders. I think that's going to be a pretty convincing win, especially in Indy. Wouldn't be surprised if that game ends 35-8 in favor of the Colts. Same with the Giants over the Saints. Although the Saints did look decent last week, I honestly think that's because Buffalo just didn't really care and underestimated them. The New York Giants won't do that. I think Jackson Dart and the Giants win this game by 2 scores. Cowboys, Jets. I wouldn't be surprised if this is where the Jets picked up their first win, especially considering how weak that Cowboys defense can be at times. But I will take the Dallas Cowboys to beat the New York Jets. Denver will keep it close against Philly, but the Eagles are still going to win that game. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. Cardinals, Titans, pretty simple for me. I got the Cards. Tampa, Seattle. That's probably the toughest game of the week, if you ask me, guys. I tell you what, I think I'm gonna pick Tampa. I think Tampa's gonna edge it. I think that offense is more dynamic. I think Baker is more of an electric quarterback than Sam Darnold. So I'm interested to see how that goes, man. I am very interested to see how that game goes. That is definitely one to keep your eye on. I will say that. Detroit, Cincinnati. Detroit, easy. Washington, Chargers. I already told you guys my take. I like the Chargers. I think the Bills beat the Patriots by 2 scores. No offense, Patriots, but this is a divisional game is what Buffalo shows up for, and they show up and show out in games like this. Chiefs, Jaguars. It's going to be the Chiefs, guys. If the Chiefs are on primetime, they're going to pull some like swindler magic to try and win this one. Both of these teams will be 3-2 by the end of this game somehow, but yeah, I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning that one. College football definitely deserves a little bit of a shout, man. Like, looking back at all the games over the weekend, I'll just quickly touch on that before we move into racing. Obviously, some big games over the weekend. I'll talk about my Ohio State Buckeyes. Big win over Washington. Our next big game is until Penn State later in the year, so I actually don't know. When do we play Penn State? Let me look that up real quick. Ohio State football. When's my Buckeyes play? Friggin', I mean, we beat Texas early in the year. You'll have to see that. 28-14. Texas are now they were the 4 at the time. Or not, no, sorry, now they're the 9. Damn. Yeah, we play Penn State November 1st. So that'll be a game to watch. We take on you-know-who in Ann Arbor November 29th. We'll be watching that game, hoping we can finally beat those sons of guns. Oregon, 30-24 over Penn State. Penn State dropped to the 7. Big win for the Ducks, man. Big win for the Ducks on a big primetime slate against Penn State. Big win for them. Alabama do go into, oh my God, friggin', where, Georgia, I don't friggin', what's the damn name of the Georgia stadium? I can't even remember. Oh my God, I'm being stupid right now. The Bulldogs football stadium. That's what I want to know. I can't. The Sanford Stadium. That's what it's called. They go into Sanford. They beat up on Georgia. There was big second quarter. Like, the first half was phenomenal. 14 points for the Bulldogs, 17 for Alabama. Second half died off a bit. Obviously, Georgia got that touchdown in the third quarter, but Ty Simpson balled out for the Alabama Crimson Tide, man. For some reason, Alabama just seemed to beat Georgia. I had a feeling going that into the week. Obviously, some other notable results. Ole Miss took down LSU, man. That's a big game, man. Ole Miss beating LSU. That's pretty crazy. Garrett Nussmeier didn't have the game that we expected. Honestly, man, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have said Ohio State LSU national championship game. Now, you never know. I mean, there's obviously you have the 12-team playoff these days, so you never know what could happen. But I want to see the top 25. Can you just give me that, please? Rankings. There we are. Yeah, obviously Ohio State are the 1. Oregon number 2. Miami number 3. Miami versus FSU is this week though, so that'll be an interesting game. Florida State dropped to 18. That's a ouch. Vanderbilt played Georgia this week, too. That's 12 versus the 16. That's a notable game to watch. Oklahoma, number 5. Texas A&M, Penn State, Indiana. Texas, Alabama, Texas Tech, Georgia, LSU, Iowa State, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Missouri, Notre Dame, Illinois, BYU, Virginia, and Arizona State are the top 25 currently. Well, we talked about football enough. I've been going on about football for 55 minutes now. Let's talk about NASCAR. The Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas was an absolute banger. Oh my God, what a day of football. Or my football, NASCAR. Oh my God, what a race. Especially what a finish. What a finish that was. Denny Hamlin leads 160 laps with no power steering. Loses the lead of the race late thanks to his backup pit crew messing up with the jack and losing him time. It's all Toyota leading the race at the end. Bubba Wallace has control. Guys, go back and watch the finish if you can. It was one of the best finishes I've ever seen in the NASCAR Cup Series. Bubba Wallace makes contact with Bell, coming to the white flag. Hamlin sneaks to the inside, passes all of them. Then it's Hamlin makes a dive underneath Bubba Wallace on the final lap. They go door to door through 3 and 4. Bubba gets into the wall. Hamlin slows up. Chase Elliott sneaks right underneath him to come to the flag, and Chase Elliott wins the Hollywood Casino 400, his second win at the Kansas Speedway. We'll quickly go through the results here. Obviously, if you guys want to know more of what I thought about each driver, we'll talk about the big moments in the race here. But obviously, Chase Elliott gets the win. This was one of the best races I've seen from Elliott in a while. Usually for Chase, ever since the injury, he usually hangs out between 5th and 15th. He was constantly between 5th and 1st the whole race. So, great result for the 9 team. They pulled out with a big win. Huge result for them to get back in the win column. His first win on a non-super speedway points-paying race this year. So, huge result for Chase Elliott. If you're Denny Hamlin, you're definitely disappointed, man. Contact to lose your teammate and yourself the race on the final lap the week after you wrecked your teammate. Definitely some questions to be asked by the 11 team. Obviously, Denny made a mistake. He was going hard for the win. I think there's some things Denny would go back and change, but I don't think he would change a lot from that moment. Christopher Bell, P3. Bell holds it down, man. Bell's going to get into the round of 8, no problem. Briscoe, man. I'm going to say this, guys. Watch out for Chase Briscoe at the Charlotte Roval, man. I think Chase Briscoe's a really sneaky threat to get a top 5. I really do. I really like Chase Briscoe's chances at the Roval. You never know. SVG's probably going to win the race. Let's be real. But I really like Chase Briscoe's chances at the Roval. Bubba Wallace, it's a brutal break for Bubba at Kansas, man. Let's be real. It's a very, very brutal break for Bubba Wallace at the Kansas Speedway. That was Bubba's best chance to make the... It was his best chance to make the next round of the playoffs. Honestly, if you ask me, it was his only chance that he had. I didn't think he had much of a shot at Loudon. 23-11 just didn't bring the setup when it came to New Hampshire. They brought it for Kansas. They really did. Kansas was their make or break race. They knew what they were doing. They made some phenomenal adjustments early in the race to make that a mid-pack car to a race-winning car. They really did. And Bubba Wallace held it down, man. Bubba Wallace held it down. Especially late in the race. But if you ask me, guys, Bubba Wallace kind of had it coming for him. That last lap move by Hamlin. He made horrible blocks throughout the race, driving people down below the apron, putting people in the wall. Bubba had it coming. Bubba had that move coming. I honestly, I like Bubba a lot, but he made some dumb mistakes early in the race, and he raced way too aggressively. And I honestly believe he had that move coming for him. That's just how I see it. That is just how I see it. Too many aggressive blocks early made that move. It was almost Bubba Wallace had it coming. He did have that move coming by Hamlin, unfortunately. Kyle Larson with a P6. Well, I should say for Bubba Wallace, he's not going to win the Roval. I think if Bubba Wallace doesn't take home max stage points and pull off a top 10, he's out at the Roval. So I don't know how many points he's down, but I think it's like 25 or 30, something like that. If Logano doesn't wreck, it could be a rough day for Bubba at the Roval. I will say that. Kyle Larson with a P6. Not too bad for Larson. I mean, he got... Like, how do I even describe Larson's day, man? He was just there the whole time. He never really could jump to the lead. He got the lead once early in stage 1. He did only lead 1 lap, man. Only led like 1 or 2 laps at New Hampshire as well. That's crazy to think about for Kyle Larson. But, man, Larson. What can you even say about that? Tyler Reddick, P7. Unfortunate day for the 45. The 45 could have very easily won this race. He really could have. The 45 could have easily won this race on Sunday, but nothing will go the 45's way, man. Constantly having people pit right in front of him on pit road, exiting while he's entering. He can't catch a damn break, man. The 45 can't catch a damn break. So, rough break for Tyler Reddick in the 45. Brad Keselowski, P8, never really seen him the whole day, but hey, came back from speeding penalties and being lap downs and stuff, and bad strategy calls kind of almost saved them, really. So, good job, Brad. William Byron with a P9. That car was no better than 20th for 3/4 of the race. They got lucky with all the late cautions, which brought them up to 9th, and they made some good adjustments too, which helped them. So, definitely a point-saving day for William Byron and the 24 team. SVG, how about that? The 88 with a top 10 on an oval. Man, this guy could be a genuine championship threat if he keeps figuring these ovals out. Like, top 10 at Kansas for a road course guy? That's a big statement if you ask me. That is a big statement. Some of the notable playoff guys who finished outside the top 10 were Ross Chastain. Who else finished outside the top 10 here in the playoffs? Let me look. Logano with the 21st. Obviously, he got caught up in a wreck. Ryan Blaney's already locked in, so he doesn't need to sweat too much. Where's Cindric? Cindric ended up 30th, man. He's one of those guys who are outside the bubble as well. Well, outside the... currently below the cut is how I should say it. I don't think there's anybody else who's still in the playoffs who finished outside of the top 10. But let's go have a look at the playoff standings as it is currently. So, above the cut line are Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney, who won New Hampshire and Kansas respectively. Kyle Larson's plus 54, he's fine. Hamlin plus 48, he's fine. Bell plus 44, he's fine. Byron plus 40, he's fine. Briscoe plus 21. Little bit more of a sweat, but like I said before, I think he's such an underrated threat for the Roval. I think he's fine. Logano plus 13 heading into the Roval. I'd be sweating if I were Logano. Mainly because of who's below him, man. Like, Chastain minus 13. I think Chastain could genuinely outpoint Logano at the Roval. I really think there's potential for that. Logano's not the greatest road course racer in the next gen car. Chastain has SVG to work with, who's one of the best road course racers maybe in NASCAR ever. Probably is the best road course racer ever in NASCAR. I think if you're Logano, you could genuinely be sweating. I really do think Chastain could get in on points. That's if Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, or Austin Cindric don't win. Bubba Wallace is pretty much max stage points, and Logano and Chastain need to have rough days because Bubba Wallace isn't winning the Roval. It's 99.9% unlikely that Bubba Wallace will win the Roval. If he does, he find that 0.1%, great. Phenomenal job, Bubba, but I just don't see it. I really don't. Tyler Reddick, minus 29. Tyler Reddick is probably the most likely to beat SVG at the Roval. Last year, Reddick was the fastest man in the field besides SVG. But here's the thing, guys. SVG was in a part-time college car in the Roval race last year and was in the top 5 in virtually every statistic. Like, SVG is going to be horrible. It's if the 6, sorry, he's not in the 16. If the 88 doesn't have a bad hiccup this weekend, I'd be amazed if SVG doesn't win the Roval. I would be amazed if he didn't. But Cindric, man, he hasn't. Everyone talks about, oh, Austin Cindric is this amazing road course racer who does so much, but I haven't seen much from Cindric on road courses since the Gen 6 car. Like, there just hasn't been much to talk about for Austin Cindric on road courses. So I honestly believe Austin Cindric's done. I really do. I hate it for the guy. I think he's a nice dude. I met him at New Hampshire. Nice fella. But it's not looking good for the driver of the 2 car. It's not looking good. But we'll quickly talk Xfinity and trucks because it's actually, I believe it's definitely a cut race for Xfinity. For trucks, they start the round of 8 this weekend. We'll fade into our picks after we talk about this, but obviously Brandon Jones did win the Xfinity race. I keep forgetting that I'm gonna have to call it O'Reilly next year. That popped in my head. I'm like, wait, shouldn't I be calling it O'Reilly series? But oh well, not yet. That's not till next year. Brandon Jones wins the Xfinity race at Kansas. Great race for him. Connor Zilic and Justin Allgaier locked themselves in on points heading into the Roval. Connor Zilic is going to win the Roval. Let's be real with ourselves. There's no way the 88 doesn't win the Roval. So, I don't know what to do. Like, who's going to beat that 88 if he doesn't wreck? Tell me. I think the best bet if the 88 wrecks is maybe Sam Mayer. I do like Sam's chances, man. You guys know I'm a big Sam Mayer stan. Love Sam Mayer. I met him at New Hampshire June of last year. One of the coolest fellows I've ever met. Straight up love that guy. He's plus 43 of the cut. I think he could be a genuine threat for the Roval win if something happens to that 88. I really do. Watch out for Sam. Watch out for Sam. I think he will get a top 5 on Saturday afternoon. Taylor Gray's plus 16 of the cut line. I think he's a decent enough road racer to pull through. Sheldon Creed. I don't know how to feel about Sheldon. Plus 12. Probably will be okay. Carson Kvapil could be sweating. Now, I don't think Carson Kvapil's that bad on road courses. Just the guys that are below him. Like, I think Jesse Love will outperform him. He's only 4 points behind. Nick Sanchez is a fairly decent road racer. He's 5 points behind, or he's what? Yeah, 9 points behind Carson Kvapil. Austin Hill's below the cut line. He's actually really underrated on road courses for some reason. I don't think Harrison Burton will be much of a threat at the Roval. Sammy Smith's 14 below the cut. I don't see Sammy Smith winning, guys. I just don't. Unfortunately for Sammy, I don't see him having much of a chance. Him or Harrison don't really have much of a chance. For the guys below the cut line, I'm looking at either Nick Sanchez or Austin Hill to come up. I do think if anybody's here is going below the cut line, it's probably going to be Carson Kvapil in the 1 car. So keep an eye out for that. But I think Nick Sanchez and Austin Hill are definitely ones to watch for the drop on Saturday. As for Friday, we will see the beginning of the Cup Series. Not the Cup Series, goddammit. The Truck Series round of 8. Why is this race starting at 3:30 on a Friday? The ratings are going to be absolutely terrible for this. Like, I don't know what they're thinking starting this at 3:30. Like, start it at like 6. Like, you might actually, you'll get, I don't know if you'll have how much daylight you'll have, but the Roval has lights. They raced at night before in the Xfinity Series when that monsoon rain came. Like, you can run this race under the lights. I don't know. I don't know, man. This race could absolutely be a shit show, though. The trucks at the Roval, this honestly has disaster written all over it. But as it stands, Corey Heim is 69 above the cutoff. Corey Heim's going to be fine. If he doesn't win one of Roval, Talladega, or Martinsville, I'd be surprised. But time will tell. Time will tell for Corey Heim and Tricon Garage. Lane Riggs, plus 22 to the cut. Lane's going to be okay as well. If Corey Heim and Lane Riggs don't make the championship, something's wrong. Lane will probably win Martinsville. So I wouldn't sweat if you're Lane Riggs. He's a decent enough road racer. He's a decent super speedway racer. And I think he'll win Martinsville. So watch out for Lane. As for the guys below those two, Daniel Hemrick's only plus 1 going into this round. Ty Majeski and Tyler Ankrum are tied for the 4th place spot. Grant Enfinger is minus 3 and 6. Rajah Caruth is minus 5 and 7. And Caden Honeycutt is minus 8. Oh, if you're telling me to pick a Truck Series Championship 4 as it stands, I would probably say Heim, Riggs, Hemrick, and probably Grant Enfinger is probably the 4 I would choose. But it's going to be interesting, man. I would even Majeski, man. Majeski could win Martinsville. But I don't know. Grant Enfinger always finds a way. Daniel Hemrick will be good at all three of these tracks. He won Martinsville earlier in the year. Like, I don't know, man. That's going to be interesting for the trucks. I will say that. But let's get into our podcast picks for the Truck Series, Xfinity, and Cup. So, for Sleeper, Suck, and Win for the Truck Series, Ethan has picked Josh Bilicki as his sleeper. His suck pick is Caring. Honestly, I don't know who that is, but I guess they're going to suck. I may have it the wrong way around. He may have Bilicki to suck. He never really fully classified which one was which, but he can clarify that to me. He probably will. Knowing him, he'll probably tell me that if Caring's having a better race than Bilicki, then Caring was a sleeper knowing him, but I don't know. Connor Zilic is his pick to win the truck race. Yeah, I let him pick first again because I didn't really have much of a say this week. So, oh well. Of course he's ahead of me in picks, and I let him pick first. And then he's gonna go, "Oh, I have elite wheel knowledge, bro." But yeah, no. As for my picks, I've got Corey Heim as a win. I didn't really know who to pick for a suck pick, so I picked Andreas Perez. That'll probably end up being 0 points, but I have a feeling Brent Cruz will be really decent in the truck race. Booze, Brews, and Cruise with Brent Cruz. That's my guy right there. Yeah. I don't know. I just thinking about it. Brent Cruz is a road course guy. He's great on the road, and I think Brent Cruz could genuinely end up with a top 5 in the truck race on Friday. But only time will tell. As for Xfinity, Ethan's sleeper pick is Connor Mosack, who's in the JRM 9 this week. One to watch. He's also got Sammy Smith as his suck pick. I have to agree with him there. He's got Connor Zilic winning the race. Totally valid. I am going to go with Sam Mayer to finish, to win the Xfinity race because, we can't pick the same people. And I think Sam Mayer's going to finish second. So I might as well pick Sam Mayer. He's got Danny Dye. I have Danny Dye as my suck pick. And my sleeper pick is going to be William Sawalich. Obviously, we know Sawalich is a bit of a road course ringer. He was second at Portland. Like, he's coming. William Sawalich is definitely coming to his own in the Xfinity series. So, he's done a hell of a lot better than what he started the year. So, I definitely got to tip my cap to William Sawalich. I think he'll have a decent race at the Roval. Look out for William Sawalich. I will say that. So, as for the Cup Series, damn, that was a loud smack between my two hands. But, as for Ethan's picks, he has AJ Allmendinger as his sleeper pick, Alex Bowman as his suck, and SVG as his winner. Good God, he took all 3 of my picks. A monkey could have picked all those 3, let's be real. But, well, the 3 winners, that is. But, as for my picks, I like Chase Briscoe as the sleeper pick. I don't know in what world AJ Allmendinger is a sleeper pick on a road course, but I like Chase Briscoe to be... I think a lot of people will sleep on Briscoe. I think Briscoe deserves more of a mention here at the Roval, but I do think the 19 car is going to be very, very good on Sunday afternoon. I got Denny Hamlin as my suck pick. He's just not good on next-gen road courses. Nothing against Denny Hamlin. And he's 40 points below the cut line. He can afford to have a bad day. He'll probably stage points and pretty much lock his status up. So nothing to sweat too much if you're Denny Hamlin. I've got Kyle Larson winning the race because I feel like Kyle Larson will end up in the top 5. So yeah, give me Kyle Larson, man. Kyle Larson's always good at the Roval. There's usually years where he's good and then he's bad at the Roval. So I don't know. Maybe this will be a bad year for him. I really don't know. But I'm going to take Kyle Larson to win the Roval because I can't take SVG. I could take Tyler Reddick, to be honest, but I don't know. What more am I meant to say, guys? Moving on to F1 picks. Now, this is a very interesting race, guys. The Singapore Grand Prix follows up the Baku race from two weeks ago, which McLaren looked like a shell of themselves, man. Verstappen did what he needed to do. Carlos Sainz got on the podium, and yeah, like, what more am I meant to say, guys? Like, the McLaren looked like a shell of themselves. Piastri definitely felt the pressure in Baku after a horrible starting position. Um, uh, Locked it up on the start, missed his shift. Like, just a rough break if you're friggin' how do you say it? It's a rough break if you're Oscar Piastri, man. Luckily for him, I think Lando Norris ended up 8th in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Let me find that real quick. Yeah, so at Baku, Lando Norris finished 7th. The 2 Ferraris were right behind him, man. I mean, disappointing run for Ferrari. We already talked about Baku in the last episode of this series, but podcast. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's just all around. It was a disappointing day for McLaren at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What more can you say, man? George Russell finished 2nd. Great run for him. Great run for the Mercedes last time out. I think they jumped Ferrari in the constructors standing, so that's big for them. Yuki Tsunoda even got 6th. That's a big day for them. Liam Lawson brought it home in the top 5. But as for the Singapore Grand Prix, we'll give you our podium picks, and we can pick the same here. And me and Ethan have gone for literally the exact same podium. The only thing I'm going to change is that I'm going to pick Norris as my winner and Piastri in 2nd. And I have Leclerc in 3rd. Ethan has Piastri winning, then Norris, then Leclerc. I would literally have it the exact same way, but I don't want to be identical to him, so I'm picking Norris, Piastri, Leclerc. How I'm going to do the F1 picks, guys, is it's going to be 3 points if you pick the exact place of the driver on their podium. So if Norris finishes 2nd, Ethan would get 3 points and I would get 1 because I have Norris winning the race, sort of thing. So if the driver finishes on the podium, but you don't have him in the correct position, you get 1 point. But if you have him in the correct position, you have to get 3 points. So that's just how I see it. And yeah, that's how it's going to be. So Ethan has Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, 1, 2, 3 on the podium, and I have Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, 1, 2, 3 on the podium. I don't think there's anything else too much to talk about this week. I mean, obviously a bit of a shorter show this time around where it's just me talking. I'm not gonna lie, my voice is getting pretty cooked. So I don't know. I think we're getting close to wrapping this up. I mean, NHL starts very soon as well. I believe that starts on what? Tuesday, October 7th. So we'll talk a little bit more about hockey in the next episode. I mean, we probably won't talk about it more until we have a full load of games to talk about. I mean, the Bruins are doing well, I don't know. The Bruins are top in alphabetical order. What the hell am I talking about? I don't even know who's the preseason champs, and I haven't been keeping up with it too much. I'll tell you guys my fantasy team from the Be a Man Fantasy League. Yeah, I mean, I am in the friggin' Be a Man Guys Fantasy Hockey League. Let me show you guys my lineup here if I can. There we go. Yahoo Fantasy. That's what we're on. Let me know what you think of my lineup. But my team is Brady Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, Zach Hyman, Tyler Toffoli, Connor Bedard. How is it? Jordan Kyrou, Dougie Hamilton, Aaron Ekblad, Brent Burns. Why am I on data? I want internet, please. Darnell Nurse, friggin' Kent Johnson, Braden McNabb. Oh my God. Will you load his name, please? Something Norris from the Buffalo Sabres. He plays center. Mackenzie Blackwood and Jordan Bennington as my friggin' goalies. My team name is Want to Kachuk, ? For Brady Tkachuk. And yeah, that's my fantasy hockey lineup. Let me know how you think that is in the comments down below. I will tell you guys my other team name in my league here. Let me see. ESPN. That's How do I only have a 35%? Oh, Jawan Jennings is out. That would make sense. Well, I guess Dallas Goedert is starting this week because everybody else on my bench is on the bye, and I can't play Matthew Stafford. So, gonna have to give friggin' Dallas Goedert the game either way, and I have a 37% chance to win against the best team in the league. Great. Hockey. There we go. Macklin, Celebrini, Philip Forsberg, Horvat, Kadri, Konesi, Lee, Marchenko, Nekes, Nelson, Churchrun, Hanflin, Hedman, Lacombe, Wallen, Kane, Bulduck, Cooley, Huberto, McNabb, Sherwood, Gustafson, and Sorokin. I like my team in the actual pay league more than I like that one. Just how it is, but yeah. What more can I say, guys? We're gonna wrap this show up now, though. We'll talk about NBA a little bit more too when the season comes around. I don't think there's been a single NBA preseason game yet. I'll have a quick look at that. Yeah, so preseason actually starts tomorrow when the 76ers tip off against the New York Knicks. And the first game of the NBA season is October 21st when the Thunder tip off against the Rockets in Oklahoma City. So, if you guys enjoyed today's podcast, you know what you need to do. Give us a review on Spotify, like the podcast, follow the podcast with the notifications turned on. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe to the podcast with those notifications turned on so you never miss the future episodes of this podcast. Every Thursday morning, we're dropping new episodes of the show. Stay tuned for the releases, guys. They're coming thick and fast, and I don't want you to miss out on a single episode of this Touchdowns and Track Limits podcast. Every Thursday, every week, every Thursday of the year, we're rocking it as heavy as we can. If Ethan can't make the show, we will happily do a solo show. I may end up having guests on when I can't do when I have solo shows, just to try and keep the followers engaged and involved. So, yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. Stay tuned. Big podcast coming up. Hopefully, Ethan can make the podcast next week. Next week, we'll recap the Roval, NFL Week 5. We'll preview NFL Week 6 and NASCAR heading into the round of 8 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That should be an interesting one. But until next time, guys, take care and yo later.